Hi Geosystems students, this is guidance for the final project. So if you go into your end of year final capstone project folder in Schoology, here we are in your class, you can click on this assignment, end of year capstone project assignment, and come find it. Okay, so here we are in this project right here. So you're going to walk through your project proposal, and here is an example. We can click here and open this window, and I would recommend having both windows open. I go over here and do fit to open that up, and here's a project proposal that's complete. So you'll take time to fill this out on your own, but I'll walk you through. At the end of this, when you're finished, you'll get approval from your teacher right there. And then we'll move on to the second part of the project. So let's just walk through this project proposal. So your project overview, you're going around visiting different locations, experiencing and learning about some of the wonders the Earth has to offer, but are also learning about what we studied in Geosystems class. So for example, geographic areas covered this person, and you can't use these exact same things, but you can do similar ones. Hawaii, they're going to study the hotspot. Japan, look at tsunamis. Iceland, northern lights, and so on and so forth. And then once you get whatever number you need to do, depending on your class, if you're a senior or an underclassman, you'll get your places for your geographic areas covered. Then I want you to take those same places and come down here and get a little bit more specific and make a connection to the curriculum. I will visit Hawaii and see how the islands formed. And you can make a note that that's oceanography. It also would count for geology as part of the 4 major topics that we studied in Geosystems: meteorology, oceanography, geology, and astronomy. Another thing you could do, analyze the sea by Japan in order to come to an understanding as to why tsunamis are so frequent and powerful. So you're just going to have a specific kind of question or activity thing that you're going to do that links the place that you said you were going to go with some content from our Geosystems class. Another one here, bask in the awe of the northern lights from Iceland and find out where their beauty originates from. All right, so you can go through this in your documents and make your arguments, make your travel plan about where you're going, and then of course your teacher will look it over and approve it. Now, once we have that, I'm looking here to see visit Hawaii and see how the islands formed. So I'm going to come up here for the second part of this, once your proposal is approved. And I'm going to go into Google Earth. And it might take a minute, and you definitely need to have your digital approvals done in order to access Google Earth through your FCPS account. If you don't have that, you actually can access Google Earth through your personal Gmail account. That tends to work pretty well. All right, so once you're in Google Earth here, I want you to go over to the left-hand side in Projects, open up a project, and we're going to do, usually it says Create, so you might see a Create button down here. Create a project in Google Drive, and here we go. So you can label it Geosystems Final Project. There we go. You can add a description if you'd like from your proposal. When you add the first location, you can go in here to New Feature, and I'm going to click, first of all, Search, and I'm going to go up to the search bar, and I'm going to search Hawaii, because that was what I was going to do. Hawaii, I can do this. And Google Earth will take me straight to the state of Hawaii, the island chain. Now I have a couple different things I can do now. I could either add to project right here, and that would use this position as my location, and that would be fine in this case. Another possibility is to go back to your project, go into the drop-down menu, and add a place mark. That means I can get very specific about where I want to be, and I could put it if I need it to be out in the ocean or something like that. All right, I'm actually going to come back here, and I'm going to just add to project, and I'm going to do it to there, save. here we are. So when I come over here, this is the first location in my Geosystems final project, and I'm going to replace this. So there we go, Hawaii. And I am putting in my title, studying the hotspot. Now I can go in here and I can do, I want 2 to 3 or so, maybe 4 images per location. Can go to Google image search. I'm first just going to get a picture, Hawaiian volcanoes. And I'm going to search Google for that. Some photos will come up. Oh, this is a nice one. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to add this to my project. And as you see, it'll show up in this edit window. Now let me go back and remind myself what I did search for. I'm looking for visit Hawaii and see how the islands formed. Okay, so I want to, I'm also going to search for a diagram, how hotspots work, because I know Hawaii is a hotspot. How hotspots create islands. Maybe there's a diagram I could add to help me as I do the research and explain this. Oh, this is good. Yeah, I like this one. So this really explains how there's a hotspot and then the islands move away with the plate motion. So that's a good one. I'm going to add that one to my project as well. All right, so I might add a couple more as well. Now down here in this text box is where I really write my research. And I can go in here and study, I want to say, how were Hawaiian Islands formed? And I'm just going to do a Google search there. And here we go. How did the Hawaiian Islands form? Here's a good source from NOAA. And I'm going to open that up. Oh, and this is a really good source for me. How did the Hawaiian Islands form? And I see the Hawaiian Islands were formed by a hot spot occurring in the middle of the Pacific Plate. While the hot spot itself is fixed, the plate is moving. So as the plate moved over the hot spot, the string of islands that make up the Hawaiian island chain were formed. So they're volcanic islands. So I can go back here and maybe I can start typing Hawaii is a chain of volcanic islands formed by an underlying hotspot. And I would go on and do about 1 or 2 paragraphs explaining the things that I learned in this article or in others that I find. Now, since I'm learning things from this article, I'm actually going to take this URL, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to go back here, and once I write a bit more, I'm going to type sources, and I'm going to paste that URL in. We really want to make sure that we cite our sources, okay? So you want to use your own words, but you can definitely do Google searches, look for articles, and have your sources right in this text box. If you had another one, do a space and add another. Okay, so we've started this. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to let you work on your own, but you can always do a preview of what your project is going to look like, and this is what the final will look like. And so your images are here, and your text is here, your sources are right here in the final product. And that is your project. So I can go out of this one and notice that here's my Geosystems final project. It has Hawaii, studying the hotspot, and now I'm going to do my next location, which in the example is Japan tsunamis. So I'm going to go back to my Google Earth tab. I'm going to do a new feature, search to add a place, and I'm going to say Japan, country in East Asia. And here we are again. Google Earth is going to take me all the way across the rest of the way across the Pacific to Japan. And I am going to add this to the project. Again, Japan, tsunamis, and I can add some images and maybe a diagram about how tsunamis work. and again, my text and sources in here. So that is how you do the project. You will continue to work through. You'll notice you'll have all of your locations listed down here in your project. There's one more thing. I want you to always go in, share your project, continue. I want you to share this with staff and students. There we go. And then I want you to copy this link and put this in the Google form that is found in Unit 11 folder. I'm going to go back to Schoology. And you can put this link in anytime because you can continue to edit your project as long as we have the link in here. You'll open up Final Project and complete this Google form, and you'll see name, last name, first name, FCPS ID, your period, and then you'll paste that link that I just got into here and then submit your Google form. And that combines all of everyone's project in one spreadsheet for us, makes it easy to grade. All right, that is your how-to on your Google project. Let your teacher know if you have any questions.